champions gleam. Now he's grown with the mission, got stories to tell. From the indie halls echoing the ring bell. Every Northwest hero, every rising star. If they're stepping in the ring, he's not far. Oregon Wrestling Observer, where the passion runs strong, never stops, never over. Josh James in the chair, hit record at the stage, spotlighting every fighter on the PNW page. Oregon Wrestling Observer, feel the crowd rise up as the voices get louder. From Oregon, Canada, and Washington, he's the man with the plan, bringing wrestling to the world. One show for the fans. Yeah, yeah, raise your hands in. Yeah, 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 raise your hands, hit the mat, feel the roar tonight.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oregon Wrestling Observer. I am the host, Joshua James. I am so happy to be back here on YouTube again, and I'm really excited to have a longtime good friend of mine who actually also gave me my tattoo right here. The main event, Moose Monroe. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, boss. Like I said, it's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a
All the
long
Moose fans.
time. The last time I officially saw you is when you actually gave me my tattoo. That was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, that's a long time fan memorabilia right there.
Yeah, I still
that
have
one.
the poster that you gave me too. I still have that.
Heck yeah, bud.
So how you been? Like, how's life been treating you since the last time I saw you?
Doing big, but it's kind of crazy. I sold the house that I was living at in Oregon. I moved down here to Texas, and so I'm living in Southeast Texas now. And working at my tattoo shop. I work at a place here just down the road from my house. Found a really nice house with palm trees and a pool and a hot tub, and
No,
really
I'm
enjoying
jealous.
really enjoying this hot weather. I get to ride my motorcycle year round, which is a good thing for me. So no, I'm enjoying it, man. Like I said, that's been the biggest change is just my relocation down here to the south.
Oh, that's great, bro. The house that you just said, I'm jealous, bro. That sounds great. Like, but
Yeah, it is
that,
pretty nice. I can't complain. I can't complain.
hey, no. But hey, I'm glad you're doing great because again, the last time I saw you, you gave me my tattoo, and you winning the BCW Hardcore Championship was the official last time I officially saw you. And like, are you still involved in wrestling, or are you think?
I've actually been dabbling in helping promote and put on shows and stuff. We ended up with an annual event every November. We do a holiday bash wrestling show for we raise money to give back to veterans and the needy families in the area. And so part of what we do is we raise sponsorship and do a lot of all the ticket proceeds go towards getting gift cards and stuff and feeding needy veteran families here in the area. So I helped put together a show. A couple of the guys actually from up in the Northwest that now live here in Texas. I got to see them for the first time in a long time because we all were kind of in the same area and didn't really even know it. So, old Lance Dean and Nate the Great,
Oh, that's
both
cool.
got to come down and work on the show with me. Um, me, I couldn't really stand on the sidelines too much. The show wasn't about me, but I had to slide in there and make a small appearance. So
Yeah.
Lance and Nate both got a moose drop from me last year, and um, we got another one coming up here in this November, and I'm actually thinking about maybe doing a tag team match. With my age and my injuries and stuff like that, I'm not so much as a full-time ring competitor, but I can't get wrestling out of my blood. So I'm definitely working on the promoting side. I would eventually like to have a school down here. That's kind of my plan and where I'm going with it. So
That's awesome, bro. That's really cool. It sounds great. Well, now knowing about this, I might have to take a trip down there to come see you guys on your show. I'm gonna have
hey,
to
let me know, man. We got an extra room at the house. We'll put you up for the night, buddy. You can come down and watch the show and hang out with
appreciate you.
everybody.
I appreciate you, bro. I really do. I'll keep that. I'll let you know when that happens. But right now, Moose, I want to talk to you about like not just that you doing this the tattoo. I want to know like how did you get involved in wrestling, or like how did you start watching wrestling? Like who was the one that got you into wrestling? Like in my intro, Hulk Hogan's the one that got me into it. Who's the one that got you into it?
See, I really hate to be cliche, but honestly, as a kid growing up in the 80s, I mean, I was born in 1980. So that was the wrestling that I saw was from 1981 kind of forward. And so that era really stuck with me. It was guys like Hogan, those superhero bigger than life characters, was always something. Undertaker, guys
Mm,
like that where it wasn't just I mean, I hate to say it, but it wasn't just somebody with a name on their butt on their tights. They actually had a character. It was a lot more. a lot more aura to everybody's character and that kind of stuff. It was, you know, the storylines seemed like they were a lot deeper. Rivalries, all that kind of stuff just seemed like it was better. Dusty Rhodes was a big one for me, because I was kind of a bigger kid growing up and I saw Dusty Rhodes wrestle for hours on end and it seemed
Hmm.
like the guy just never got tired. And so that was one of those things that, you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to get in there. I want to hear those cheers. I want to hear all that kind of stuff. So I was definitely a big Hogan and Dusty Rhodes guy. Um, my favorite heel has always been Ric Flair. One, just because he was such a believable character.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't just dressing up as someone. He was like that 24/7. He really ate, slept, and breathed, you know, the character and ended up becoming who he was as a person. So those are the guys that really inspired me when I first started.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I completely agree with you 100% on that. Like I'm the exact same way about like how wrestling was like the how people would call it the golden era. That's my
Yeah.
favorite era of wrestling. I miss like, wrestling like that. Me and my dad were just talking about that just recently. But how did you start in wrestling? Where did you
So
find the school?
it was 1998, and I was stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington, while I was in the Army. I was active duty Army,
Oh.
and every weekend it was really big. That was about the time that ECW was just really becoming big,
Mhm.
and so we would all get together in the barracks and watch wrestling on Mondays and Thursdays, and then ECW was on Friday nights on TNN or for a little while, or I think it was TNN when they first got their first contract.
Yes.
And so we would do that, and then everybody was drinking and having a good time, and we'd end up wrestling and having our own matches in the barracks. Um, and so we were looking online back on when it was still AOL, and you had to get your online stuff off a disc.
Mm.
And we were looking for wrestling tickets. I wanted to go. There was a show coming up. They were doing a Raw or a SmackDown at the Tacoma Dome, and
Oh,
so
cool.
I was looking for tickets online, and happened to come by this website for PWF, Pacific Wrestling Federation, and
Oh.
PWF had a open tryout there in Tacoma at the Temple Theater, and the school was right down the road, and the instructor at the time was Randy Taylor,
Yeah,
and
I remember him.
Diamond Timothy Flowers were the two instructors and guys that pretty much ran the school. So me and another Army buddy were like, man, well, we just made it through all this Army training, you know, I'm sure we could make it through a wrestling tryout. And so in my free time in the Army, I actually went down to the tryouts, made the tryouts, and then started training with PWF. That was my first federation.
That's
Excuse me.
really cool. That's really cool. I didn't know about that. Like that's really cool. I've always wanted to go to PWF. I still plan on trying to go to it one of these days. But like when you were training and you guys were thinking like we probably could do this. Like, but when you first took your first bump, how did that feel when you took your first bump in the ring?
Honestly, my adrenaline was going so much. I was so excited. Just I can remember actually just cleaning off my feet because I'd watched guys do that on the ring apron. And my first time climbing up on the ring apron, cleaning my feet off, and just bending over and stepping through those ropes, I felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing. It wasn't, you know, it just blew me away because it felt like so much like my home. It was something I was supposed to be doing. So that first back bump, honestly, I think my nerves were going so bad I didn't even feel the first one. I didn't really I didn't really feel it until the next day. So
Oh,
the
damn.
the only thing I really felt is back in the day they used to do things like you had to hold your arms against the top rope, and everybody that already had graduated through the school would come through. They'd give you a big chop, and they would introduce themselves to you, and that meant that you kind of were all of a sudden now you're a student, now you're part of this, you're part of the family, and so it's kind of an initiation thing.
Oh, okay. Well, like that's really I like it was probably like really hard training because I've never took a bump in the ring. Like I can't imagine like the feeling that you probably felt like again, you said you didn't feel it until the next day. Like when you first found out that you were going to have your first match, what was going through your mind when you found out like, okay, you're ready?
I was nervous as shit. I honestly I got lucky that my first match was a battle royal. So there was a lot. It was called a considered. They used to do rookie rumbles when I
Mm,
was
yeah.
training, and that's how the new guys got their ring time and got exposure to the crowd, as well as getting that greenness off of them as far as being a rookie. So, and that's kind of where you showed your stuff to Tim and to Randy was by excelling and making the crowd get behind you during one of those rookie rumbles. And so the better you did in the rumble, was determined whether or not you moved on to singles matches. Some guys stayed in Rumbles forever. Some guys graduated on and started getting their own storylines and characters and working into singles matches. So I personally, um, my very first rookie Rumble, I was the second one or the very last one tossed out. So I didn't win the Rumble,
Oh,
but I stayed in the entire time and was the very last one tossed out. And I only did one rookie Rumble and I went right into singles matches. So they must have saw something they liked. And I just did the one rookie Rumble and then I was off and running and in the singles competition. So
that's cool because yeah, like the first time I officially saw you is in good old WCWC wrestling when you were going after this title, your belt right here.
yep.
And like where did that whole started? Like when you go into WCWC, like where that all start from?
So when we got done, I moved from up in Washington back to my home state of Oregon. That's where I went to high school, and then that's where I ended up marrying my kids' mom, and I was with her at the time. Again started fishing online for where wrestling was in my area, and I bumped into WCWC, and they had a show. I believe it was at a high school in Salem somewhere. I don't remember the exact school, but I know that um, Animal from Legion of Doom was on the card. Big Chris Thunder was on the
Oh,
card. Bubba Blanchard, the Blanchard brothers were there. A lot of those very staple Northwest guys were working at WC at the time. And so, I'm trying to make it, Jeff Manning was running
yes.
it. Um, and I got a hold of him, and me and Rusty, I think it was Rusty Savage, wrestled against Thunder and CC Poison.
Oh,
Was my first WC match. Um, and I also wrestled about that same time when I was working with. Before I went to WC, I actually did a CPW.
oh,
Went
okay.
before I worked at CPW and won the television title there before I went to WC full time.
Yeah.
And so after the television title with CPW, like I said, I moved. It was closer to my area. I had small kids at the time, so the traveling was really good for me because I was only like an hour or so away. I could stay at a hotel and work as many shows as WC had, and so we would do the Salem Armory and high schools around the area, that kind of stuff. So that's how I broke in there, and I stayed with WC for a long time.
Yeah, because that's where I first saw you at first met you is that you were just like going for that title. But I know I kind of went through CPW. Like, was that where you won your first ever championship, or
My
where
first Oregon championship was the CPW television title.
when you found out that you were going to win that title? What was your thoughts like? What was going through your mind when you found out that you were going to win that title?
It was to me, it was a big pat on the back for the accomplishment that I had because I'd been in some bigger federations and stuff like that where I was more of a mid card guy.
Hmm.
Um, I was still because of the military gimmick, I was still kind of a fan favorite,
Yeah.
but I didn't get the push that I felt like I should have had with my size and the way that I wrestled. Um, and so to get a push like that and be honored enough to carry a title for a company because that means you're the guy. That means you're the face. You could be the face of the company, whether it be whatever title it was, just any title at all. That's what that means is like, hey, this guy's our flagship. We want to put him on the posters. We want him at intermission signing autographs, that kind of stuff. So it just meant that I was over with the crowd, and the back recognized that. So it was kind of like I said, it was kind of a pat on the back for me.
Well, that's really cool. I think you told me that it before, but just hearing the story about like you win your first title, and again, you said it right. It's like that means you're the guy, which I like. I miss sometimes about that in wrestling is because like sometimes I just see people just win a belt, just like, yeah, we're gonna give you this, like back then probably like for right now it's just like you're in your mind thinking like, all right, I'm the guy now. I know this is not the main title, but you're in your mind probably thinking like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's like I'm the guy now, I gotta carry this.
Yeah, you gotta step it up a little bit. Like I said, it's a pat on the back, but it's also you now have a certain standard that you have to hold yourself at, and because you are wearing that belt, and so everything that they see you do, is going to matter. And so every your walk's a little taller, that chip on your shoulder is a little bit higher because you do have that gold on your shoulder. So like so that to me that was just it was a it was a kind of a dangling that carrot in front of me that I needed to jump it up and even up my game even more, so that I could get to the next title, or be the heavyweight champion eventually. So
Yeah. Also, I also like to talk about like is it from CPW, then WCWC, and I don't know if I'm going in order, but then went to NWWA when you were part of the Illuminati, the
yeah,
Illuminati, and
I was also working for DOA at that time.
yeah, and DOA Pro Wrestling.
Yep,
It's just that you were one of the original members of the Illuminati.
I
Like, how
was.
did that all started? How did that all start?
It was just I came in and like I said they kind of had a couple guys established as that, and they wanted me. They were looking for big monster faces, big face characters that were imposing. I mean, it was me and Thunder and and Hess, and that original group. There was I'm trying to think of who else.
Drexel was a
Drexel,
member.
Drexel, and I'm
Havoc.
having and Havoc as well. Havoc wasn't around at DOA at the first at the beginning start of that,
Hmm.
and that's where I first got my Illuminati shirt and was like, "Hey, you're part of this." Was at DOA, not NWWA. So
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. It's just I'm trying to remember because I remember the Illuminati was they were taken over in the Pacific Northwest, not just like DOA, but they were also in NWA. I just remember how big of a group these guys were, and I remember you were a member of it, like
yeah,
that.
I got added to it over at DOA when I went over to DOA. Like I said, I was jumping NWWA shows and DOA shows as well as putting on my own NWWA South promotion later on during that time. So
Okay, that's really cool. I remember one match, and you and I have talked about this when you were giving me my tattoo. You mentioned to me that one of your favorite matches it was in WCWC when you were facing Aaron Bolo. Now I just rewatched that match, and you guys literally beat the crap out of each other in that
oh, I
ring.
mean, to take a turn from old good old JR, that one was definitely a slobber knocker. There was
Definitely,
no,
yeah,
I mean, both me and Bolo are very physical athletes when it comes to our wrestling style, and so it complemented each other very well. It was one of those old school bangers that you just, there was no guessing in the crowd whether or not we made connection. You heard it and felt it in the in the cheap seats. So
yeah.
that was probably one of my favorite back and forth battles. It was a great match. I was probably, and one of the times in and out of my career I've been in better shape and worse shape depending on my physical condition. But that I feel
Mm.
like I was pretty close to peak Moose Morrow, the main event Moose Morrow version of me. Was definitely I feel like kind of that hottest time for me when I first switched from face to heel.
Yeah,
That's where the main event moniker came from. So
that match, I like I said, I just recently rewatched that match. I'll send it to you when we're done here. But the thing is, just like just rewatching it and just hearing the chops that you guys were giving each other, like you guys literally, in an old school way, say you guys literally potatoed each other in that match with those chops.
it was like we were filming it for live TV. We wanted there to be no guesswork on whether or not we were making connection.
Yeah.
And so like I said, we put it in there and we both understood that going in. We both respected each other before and afterwards. Me and Aaron are still buddies to this day. I mean, it's a shame that his career got cut short because he was a phenomenal worker and could have went somewhere. I mean, I've seen it. You saw him on SmackDown,
Mm,
that kind of stuff. The guy had all the potential in the world. He was an amazing worker and a great friend. So
yeah. It made
it's
me
always
sad
better.
to see him retire.
It's always better to have matches. It seems like my best matches were with guys that we had the most amount of respect for each other,
Mm.
and we were really just trying to give the fans everything we could.
Yeah, it's just like I miss Aaron. I tried talking to him a couple of times, but I know he's busy with life, like being a father and all. So it's just like I miss him, and I really do love that match. But we're gonna stick with WCWC. I remember in WC that Paul Bear, Percy Pringle became your manager. Like what
Absolutely.
was
That's when the main event gimmick transformed into the Nightmare gimmick, the American
Mhm.
Nightmare.
Before Cody
Uh,
Rhodes?
but yeah, well, I think technically Dustin Rhodes used that first, so I can't claim the very first usage of it.
Well, yeah,
But
that's true, but I'm just saying.
but yeah, but way before, like I said, I was the main event before Jey Uso, and I was definitely the American Nightmare before Cody Rhodes. But that's just, guys, remember that.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was, and so I think that kind of monster character needed needed a manager. It needed a dark force to kind of help guide the crowd into like, okay, Moose is just out here to hurt people. It was very much an Undertaker-esque, Kane-esque character where I just came in and just left destruction. Whether I won or lost wasn't really the issue. It was that I was in there to make my presence known, and just to get in there and just put bodies down. So
Yeah, it's just that when I remember when I was working with WC at that time, and Percy was managing you, I just was thinking like, and again, you mentioned Taker and Kane and all, but also I kind of had the same feeling like this is kind of like when Percy was managing Vader in a way. Like that's the vibe that I was getting from it.
yeah, and
Like,
the kind of education that I got from somebody like that, and like I said, God rest his soul. The education that I got from him because of all his past management experience with these monster characters, he was really able to breathe a lot of life into that American Nightmare character of Moose. So I was very thankful for him. I mean, he helped me with the head down walk to the ring, just a lot of the little nuances that you wouldn't have picked up on your own maybe. And
mhm.
he saw that from a distance. I remember him telling Manning that he liked me because he said, from a distance you could look at me and that guy's a wrestler. That guy's a wrestler's wrestler. He looks the part. He's got the size, the intensity, that kind of stuff. So that, to me, that was a huge compliment.
Oh yeah, like that's awesome. Like I thought it was a perfect match for you and him to be like, I thought that was like perfect. Like that's who Percy should be managing because that time you were a killer in WCWC. Like your gimmick, this was way different than the Moose when I first met you, like the good guy Moose and all the kinds. This guy
Yeah, there
was
was there was no throwing up the moose antlers, none of that. It
yeah,
was, it was somebody was leaving in a body bag was my tagline at the time, and
yeah.
that's because I was showing up with thumbtacks and metal chairs, and I was putting the beat down on whoever it was. So
And then after that, you started teaming up with Eric Baden, but then out of nowhere, you just kind of disappeared from wrestling.
I
Like,
did. I was wrestling is a even though it's a big part of our life, it's really hard to kind of balance that family life and wrestling at the same time sometimes, especially because of all the traveling and the time away from home and that kind of stuff. So I had to make a choice, and at that time, I was going through a hardship. My marriage at the time wasn't ended up working out. I ended up getting a long, messy divorce out of it, and had custody going on with my kids and all. And I had to give all my effort to my family at home, and couldn't give any effort to my wrestling family. To be fair, and to be a good dad, I had to focus on what was going on at home. And so I took a little hiatus for a little while in order to kind of straighten that out, and and for my kids, I had to get myself together and focus on them. So
yeah, it's just because like when you disappeared, and I know you did come back a couple of times. You were with NWWA, and then you left again. You were with BCW, then you were left again. What my dad and my mom always told me, like where you were at, family always comes first. Like, yeah, you have your passion for wrestling and all that kind of stuff, but what you were doing is like, hey, my kids come first. My life, my family comes first. So like, I gotta think of them, right?
absolutely, like I said, you want to look back and be like, oh man, well, I could have put more effort into this, and I didn't want to have to say that about my family.
Right.
Like I said, I was okay with leaving wrestling and coming back because I knew I always had a place, and there wasn't anybody in the Northwest that was going to tell me no if I wanted to come work somewhere. Um, and so I knew that, and I knew that I could square away my family stuff and get that going before I could come back, and I could give wrestling everything again, because wrestling's also like that. You can't. It's like family life. You can't half-ass wrestling, and you can't half-ass your family life. So you have to either give 100% either one place or the other. That balance is a very I guess touchy line to draw. So
Yeah, it's just like like again, like if for me, even though back then I always kept like, I would love to see you come back in the ring. But now, like, knowing the backstory is just like, I get why now you left. I get it. Like, family always comes first. But how is the family now? Like, how's everybody been lately?
We're doing good. My daughter, I've only got one kid at home. My youngest girl is now 17. She's a senior in high school this year, and she's actually in the delayed entry program, enlisted and going into the army.
Oh wow.
So she's gonna follow in dad's footsteps, and she's on she's on our powerlifting team here in Texas.
Oh
Um,
dang.
she she took second at regionals and 13th in the state last year, as a power lifter. So she's my funny enough, she has the same name as Brock Lesnar's daughter.
Oh really?
Yeah, her name's Maya, and so it's spelled a little bit differently, but yeah, it's Maya Morrow. And she's, like I said, so she's going to the military, she's powerlifting, she's kind of following in dad's footsteps a little bit, which makes me pretty proud.
That's awesome.
She's doing really good, and like I said, it's me and her down here in Texas, and she's getting all my attention at the moment. Like I said, wrestling, and I ride with a motorcycle club that's a vet
Hmm.
club down here. I also help run a veteran nonprofit. Well, this down here, so I do have a lot of irons in the fire, but most of my time is spent with her. So
That's awesome. That's
I've
really
got
cool.
I've only got so much time before she's an adult, and she turns 18 this year, and she'll be leaving off for the military and stuff like that. So I'm trying to spend as much time with her as I can.
I get that. They grow up fast, don't they?
Oh man, it was seemed like just yesterday she was in a high chair throwing smushed up bananas at me, but uh,
Yeah, like my nephew, he's in the military, so that like hearing that just made me think of my nephew. Like I'm just sorry, but it's just like when you were telling me that story, it's just like it immediately made me think of my nephew. It was just like that's
and
so cool.
and down here in Texas, Texas is a very American bred, red, white, and blue state.
Hmm.
They treat their veterans very well. There's a lot of perks to being a vet in this state, and so the automatic respect that she's getting just wanting to go, and that she sees that dad gets from everybody around here, is a very positive thing for her life. So it's showing that she can do something like that and be proud of it. Not that,
Yeah.
because we've been in places where vets are looked down upon.
Hmm.
And that's not where we're at now. Texas is definitely much different when it comes to that. So
Yeah, and God bless our veterans. I'm just gonna say that right now. God bless our veterans. But also, well, another question is just like also like with your daughter. What if when she's done with the army? Let's say when she's done, she comes up to you and she says, "Dad, I want to get involved in wrestling." What's your answers?
my 100% would, I would, like I said, it'd be if a little that'd be touchy for me, because I said I wouldn't want her to go down any of the negative roads that pro
Yeah.
wrestling can lead to, because it definitely can go that way as well. Um, Sometimes guys, like I said, they lose sight of who they really are, and that fine line between the character and their who they are at home kind of gets blurred. And
Hmm.
so, like I said, I would preach kind of the downfalls and that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't want to see her getting hurt. But
Yeah.
I'm also just being a protective dad. But I would absolutely love to, have a school and be able to teach her, the stuff that I learned. And I think and she's got dad's strength and power, and so she would be a force to reckon with if she really decided she wanted to do something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, wrestling, it has its ups, of course, and it does has its downs. I remember one time I was thinking and I wanted to get involved with wrestling, and I got a message from Alexander Hammerstone. I don't know if you remember him.
yeah, I do.
He messaged me. He's like, "Bro, don't get in the business. You're a good fan. We don't need to lose you as a fan."
Yeah,
He's
you are. I would say you are like the blue shirt guy for ECW and WWF. Or was it the green shirt guy?
yeah, green shirt guy. Yeah,
That was
that is
no matter what show they were at, or what venue they were at, he was always right there in the front row. That you're that for us in the Northwest. We could always know that we could look out in the crowd and see Josh out there cheering us on.
yeah,
So it was
yeah.
that's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
Honestly, we wouldn't want to lose you as a fan.
I appreciate that. And also the funny thing is like even when you were being booed, I was still cheering you. I was just like
That's
I
what I
was
had a hard. That's what I had a hard time with going heel, is because everybody really enjoyed my moves, my chops,
Well,
the
you
moose
were a
drop, you
badass.
know.
You were a badass. That's why. Because a lot of people are just like, yeah, we got the white meat baby face, but look at this guy. This guy's a. That's
They see
how.
that the fans really seem to enjoy me watching me hurt people. So
I
it
mean,
seemed
yeah.
like
But also with like with wrestling, you're still involved. Of course, you're always going to be involved. But where did the tattoo like Crybaby Ink start? Like, where did you start for that? Like, how did that all started?
so when I first got out of the military, when I was up in Washington, I was wrestling at the same time, but I went through a tattoo apprenticeship and started tattooing as a job. Then and I was bouncing in a bar, living by myself, bouncing at a bar, and I was tattooing at the same time. And then I got into and I was wrestling during that time for PWF and ICW um, under Tim Flowers and Randy. And then I moved back to Oregon, and my Washington State tattoo license wasn't any good, so I went back to work just doing construction, iron work, whatever paid the bills and fed the family is what I had to concentrate on.
Right.
Um, and then I got an opportunity because the VA was going to do a major knee surgery on me, a big reconstructive. I have a complete knee replacement on my left side. My left knee is all metal and plastic. And so when they decided they were going to do that surgery, there's a program through the VA called VOC Rehab, vocational rehabilitation. And one of the options in Oregon was tattoo school that the
Oh.
VA would that the tattoo the VA would pay for. So I signed up for tattoo school and got retrained as a tattoo artist, and then just started doing that for work ever since.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know about that. That's really cool. I like, but that helped out, and then you made the tattoo shop Crybaby Inc. Like, how that start with Crybaby Inc. Where
So
that?
actually, Crybaby Inc. was established by Greg Byerly, and
Oh, okay.
it was already an existing shop there on West 11th. He
Hmm.
just brought me in. It was my second shop to work at in Eugene. I worked at Black Lotus Tattoo
Oh,
in
okay.
Eugene, and then was kind of fishing around for a new home that was a little bit better fit for me. And Greg offered me an opportunity to come work with him, and I worked with him for quite a few years, and we did great. Me and him are still great friends. He lives in Florida now.
Oh,
He's
okay.
actually he's working as a prison guard. He's out of the tattoo business, and his life has changed and went through its own changes. And I'm not super close anymore because we lived in different states, but
Yeah.
we still talk every day, or at least every week, and visit with each other and stuff. So um, that's how that came about. I moving from Oregon to Texas has definitely been a culture shock as far as the not the wrestling side of it, but the tattoo side of it. The tattoos aren't as present here in where I'm at because one, it's a really small town, and
Right.
two, it's very much still that Bible Belt mentality where if you're tattooed, you're a felon.
Oh.
So everybody kind of frowns on the whole. Like I'm one of the most heavily tattooed people in my town, and and so when they see me, they're like, okay, well that guy. One, I ride a motorcycle, which doesn't help my case. Um, so so obviously, it's like, oh, here's this big tattooed biker that, has a tattoo shop here in town. But as soon as people get to talk to me and realize that I'm a vet, and that's where a lot of my ink came from was while I was in the service and that kind of stuff. And it's all service related. I mean, like, yeah, my hands are tattooed, but it's my kids' names across my knuckles, stuff like that. So once they get to know me as a person, all that kind of stuff kind of goes away. But the initial shock it's definitely much different here as far as it's a very conservative area as far as tattoos and that kind of stuff goes. So I haven't been as busy as I was up north.
Okay, yeah, it's just like it just hearing that like it was probably awkward when people kept staring at you like with the amount of tattoos you had and also your
Oh,
body.
very
It's like
much. It was like I was making the little old ladies in the store like nervous, like they thought I was going to steal their purse or something, just because I'm covered in tattoos. I mean, I have them from my face all the way down to my knuckles, and so they were yeah, definitely it seemed like they were like nervous to be around or nervous to talk. But as soon as you hey ma'am, excuse me, they realize that you have manners and that you're a normal person, that kind of goes to the wayside. But that first initial shock definitely was something new to get used to. It was like I'd traveled back in time to the 90s,
oh
and
jeez.
and tattoos were like, oh my god, if you have a tattoo, you went to prison, or something like that. Is that stigma that went with it was still very much alive and well down here in the South. So
Oh boy. Oh jeez. Back the 90s. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I remember the stories about hearing tattoos. My dad has one, but he's just like, it's my mom's name, and he's just like, it's the only tattoo I have, and they're like, it's the only one I have.
Yeah, these good old boys down here. There's a lot of oil rigs and a lot of blue collar plants and gasoline facilities and stuff like that here. So there's a lot of guys that work 22 days out of the month, and they come home for a week, and then they're back on the rig or back on the oil rig or out in the fields or whatever. They're traveling out of town. A lot of truck drivers. So it's a very blue collar community. So a
Mm,
lot of those people don't even have time to come in and get tattoos. Um, Unless they're home for that week, and then that's when they're spending time with their families. So
right.
they don't want to give up that time to do that. So it's been pretty slow. I'm actually changing gears a little bit and going to be working for the Texas State Veterans Commission.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to be a peer coordinator for them, which is, well, I'll be helping vets get their benefits and do their paperwork. Vets in need that need food stamps or getting help, state assistance or anything like that. I'm going to be facilitating that, kind of helping out with that. So I'll still be tattooing and stuff on the weekends, but I am, excuse me, switching gears to a more of an office job. Like I said, I just went through a big surgery on my wrist doing carpal tunnel and some other things. So I definitely need to use my brain a little bit more than I'm using my back nowadays. I'll be 46 this month. So
Oh boy. Yeah, your body is it's like body breaking down mostly from your time in the ring. Mostly, you think that's another reason?
I would say it's a combination. I was pretty rough on my body. Like I said, between the military and doing 20 plus years of construction work, and then the in-ring time on top of doing while I was doing the construction work and while I was doing the army time, definitely put my body in a very banged up. I say I'm 46 this year, but my MRI says I'm like 65.
Oh,
So
jeez. Oh,
I had a doctor tell me that I had the MRI results of a 65-year-old retired football player.
oh, dang.
So yeah,
Uh,
there's my workouts have changed. Like I said, I've gone to, I'm not so much of a power lifter anymore as I do lighter weights, more reps, just trying to maintain that physique that I've kind of always had,
mhm.
but without causing any further injuries. So you have to work around these new things, um, changing the font size on your phone because you're starting to get old and need bifocals, stuff like that. So Father Time is definitely catching up with me.
Oh yeah, I know yeah, I bet it's just it's crazy. Like just the fact is that those backgrounds that you just do and just you told me about like the army construction and in the ring, it's just like God dang, dude, like your body and also wrestling's not no easy deal. Like it's a dangerous sport too. Like tell like you've been injured in the ring. Like tell what was your first ever injury in the ring?
My first ever was a broken nose. Was my
Oh,
first ever, and I got that right in the middle of a match. I was in a tag match in Cloverdale, Canada, with it was Chef and Avalanche from ICW. Um, the chef that still runs PWF up there, and then Big
hmm.
Avalanche was his tag team partner, and that guy was like 6'6" and like 400 pounds. It was like wrestling Vader,
Oh,
or
jeez.
our Northwest equivalent of Vader. He was a very big man, and he was doing something in the corner, and I ducked my head down the wrong direction, and I caught a ridge of his hand right across
Oh,
the bridge of my nose, and it just shattered my nose all over my face. Was bleeding all over the place. We ended up finishing the match, but I have always kind of had that Mick Foley mentality that I wanted it to look as absolutely as cool as possible on video, which meant kind of
mm,
putting your body on the line a little bit more. I didn't really take. I mean, I always took a safe bump,
yeah.
but I did a lot of bumping on the floor or flipping over the ring steps. Um, there were a lot of extra risks that I took for the fans that I probably could have made a little more longevity out of my career if I would have done some things a little bit differently. So
Was your face like the background picture? Was your nose like that, or was it like way worse for your
no,
nose?
it was like I said, it was a similar amount of blood, but it was just coming just out of my nose.
Okay.
The cool part was that Avalanche was a big enough guy, and he was one of those kind of backstage kind of Undertaker presence, where
Mm,
he was kind of the guy,
yeah.
and so he came back and he said, "Let me see your nose, kid," and he reached out and he grabbed my face and he actually fixed my broken nose in the locker room and set it
Oh.
for me and made it straight again. So that's one of those wrestling stories. Like I never went to the doctor for it. I broke it in the match. We finished the match. I had earned his respect enough that he came up and he's like, "Here, let me fix your nose," and he just grabbed my face and straightened my nose out for me before I even knew what was going on. And his big catcher's mitts for hands, I didn't have much of a choice. So
God dang, dude. Oh, jeez. Like never before, but I cannot imagine how much. Like, did that hurt when you put it back together, or was it just, or
yeah,
you know?
my adrenaline was kind of coming down and running out, so I definitely felt that a lot more than I did in the ring. Like I said, once it's weird in the ring, you don't really feel any of that because of the adrenaline rush.
Mhm.
Until I mean, yeah, it hurts, it all hurts, but it definitely catches up with you more. Like I've always said, that kind of that next day, you feel like you got hit by a truck.
Oh yeah.
All the bumps and bruises show up, the stiffness in your back, all that kind of creeps in the day or two after, the week after. Um, I've done things like I cracked my sternum taking a stun gun over the top rope, and my body rolled forward a little bit too far, and so I caught the rope at a weird angle on my sternum, fractured my
Oh no.
sternum right in the middle of a match. Um, told my wife at the time and my kids not to make me laugh on the drive home because just this wearing a seatbelt hurt. Let alone I was the wet the breathing and everything like that. So yeah, I was rough on myself in the ring, but I feel like ooh, excuse me, you can look back and um, I don't know. It seems like my fans always enjoyed my matches, so that's what was most important to me.
And your sort of, like, I guess you could say your final run in the Pacific Northwest is when you were facing Pedroff for the BCW Hardcore Championship.
Yes, sir.
And when you found out that you were going to win that title, how did that make you feel when you were going to win the Hardcore title?
I felt like I said because I was on my way out.
Hmm.
I knew that I was going to be passing that torch before I left.
Hmm.
But to have a heavy weight like that, like a torch that big, that title, to elevate the next generation, like I said, I wanted in order for it to be believable that Petrov could take out somebody like you know the Warhammer Moose Morrow,
Hmm.
that was going to elevate his status as a hardcore monster at the same time. So that's I wanted him to take on to kind of take that. Well, he beat Moose for that title. That was I wanted it to mean something. So I wanted that title to mean something. I wanted to help elevate BCW um, with, like I said, the name that I had and the respect that came with my name in the Pacific Northwest. I wanted to pass that on to the younger guys that were busting their ass and trying to make a show up there. So, like I said, my hats off to, Petrov and all his hardcore deathmatch stuff and that kind of stuff. Me and him went at it. We had a war. We had two of them, and I was more than happy um, to to share the ring with him and share that moment in my career. And like I said, I couldn't have had a better little brother to have in there with me, throwing down and throwing the big potatoes because we both can do it. So
Oh yeah, I've seen Pedroff wrestle so many times, and that guy can literally throw some potatoes in the ring, and I can't imagine what it was like. It was like maybe you had that flashback as like, oh, I'm facing Bolo all over again, just like with the potatoes slaps probably. But I love Pedroff, I love him, and that's really cool. Like, also the belt looked good on you. I'm not gonna lie, the belt looked great on you.
that was a good looking belt. I did. That was probably one of my favorite ones to carry. It
Yeah.
had that big gold feel to it, but
Hmm.
with the hardcore logo on there and stuff.
Yeah.
I was very proud to be the BCW hardcore champion.
Now with you leaving the Pacific Northwest and now living in Texas, and I know you mentioned this like about what you guys do in November, like are you sort of like retired from the ring, or are you just like like I'm just taking a break until I go
Um,
back?
that's a hard one for me because, like I said, a lot of wrestlers that do it as long as I have. To be honest, um, I don't want my physical limitations to tarnish my legacy.
Yeah.
So I'll be very selective about what I did and didn't do. Like I said, I don't think I mean just like Ric Flair, I don't think you're ever really retired. Um,
Mm.
my boots are still in the closet collecting dust, and I still have that itch to want to put them on, but I also have that family mentality at the same time is that I don't want to take away from I've only got a year left with my daughter, and before she's an adult and moving on in the world. So I was but like I said, I can't say that I'm done, because
Yeah.
I do plan on having a tag match in November. As far as doing it on a regular basis, I don't know, but coming back and having small stints in the ring, um, I think I'm gonna get good enough shape and I can still give the fans what they want, you know. So I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm, fully retired, but I'm definitely on that way as far as physically goes that I should be.
Yeah, like you could correct me if I'm wrong in this, but also sometimes I bet you like like think to yourself like I don't want to stay in too long because I don't want to, like you just said, like tarnish my legacy and all that. I don't want to be in for too long where I embarrass myself in the ring.
Yeah, because your brain still can tells you that you can do what you did 20 years ago, because
Hmm.
that's how long I've been doing this. um, but your body doesn't keep it up with that mentality. And I said I don't want to, that's the last thing I want, especially with the digital footprint that we have in wrestling nowadays, where everybody can go back and find your first matches and stuff like that. I don't want to be on a botched blooper video because I'm too old and can't pull off what I used to be able to pull off. So
Yeah, I understand that. But like with wrestling, like you're have you ever thought about like I may never go back in the ring, but I could do something like out of it, like behind the scenes or
yeah,
anything like.
I would love to be I would love to be a booker or help produce, or like I said, I want to have a school someday. I would love to teach the younger crowd what I've learned. Um, I've always had kind of a, not to toot my own horn, but I've always had a knack for the microphone.
Hmm.
And so being a ring announcer or anything like that, I was able actually to announce a small independent show that they had not far from my house, actually Mark Henry's hometown of Silsbee, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Um, I was one of their guest ring announcer for their one of their shows, and I really enjoyed it actually. It was because of the knowledge that I've had in the ring, I knew what to put emphasis on,
Hmm.
and plus there wasn't really any holds that I wasn't going to be able to know the names of, and that's one of my pet peeves is announcers that don't know what they're calling.
Yeah.
Um, and started all the way back to when Bulldog called them the moose droppings one time, and I was so pissed at him because it because that's not what it was called, brother. Like that's that was a cool finishing move, and you made it sound like crap. So
He didn't tell me that story when I had him on my show last week. He didn't
no,
tell me that.
I bet not. I think that was I think that was the same match where they played the wrong entrance music for me at the same time. It was just all bad. It was not not my shining moment when I was first starting.
I know we like I skipped it, but also, what is the most funniest moment that's ever happened to you in the ring or even out of the ring? Like, what's the most funniest thing that's ever happened to you
So
in
I would
wrestling?
say I was working for PWF, and I was watching Blaze Daly and Roach Redding were the tag team of THC,
Hmm.
and I remember them had a wrestling match, and it was a spot where it was a headbutt to the groin,
Hmm.
and the guy in his singlet looked like he was a little too excited, if you know what I mean, to have the match, right? So they played on that, and when they did the headbutt to the groin spot, he came up and was selling his eye, like he got poked in the eye by the guy's nether regions. And so that was probably one I mean, I remember laughing out loud, kind of peeking through the curtain watching the match, and I remember like I was probably laughing loud enough for the audience to hear me, because that was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that would be funny. That would.
I
Okay,
would say I would say another one was watching Dabashi, uh the butcher, watching him be a heel,
mm,
because he would literally like take little kids' nachos out of their hand and like crumple
yeah.
them up and throw them on the ground. Or he'd go over to my merch table and he'd take my photos, my 8x10s, and he would tear them up in front of my fans and stuff like that. Just guys that were really entertaining. I'm like I said,
Oh yeah.
first and foremost, I'm a wrestling fan.
Hmm.
And so I want to be entertained as well. And those guys always made it fun. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's probably one of my more memorable, funny moments.
I love Dabashi. He's still the same guy. He's
Yeah,
still funny.
we talk all the time, man. He's a great guy. Me and him are going to be lifelong friends.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Even though he stabbed me in a bunch in the head with a fork, I still love him.
I have one of his forks actually.
It might have been the one stuck in my head.
Probably. He signed it for it too. That's the funniest part. But
Awesome.
um like with everything that you've done in wrestling, like who was your all-time favorite? Like in general, I like name me like your top 5 favorite wrestlers that you've ever worked with in the ring.
That I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
I would say Tony Terrific
Mhm.
was one of them. Aaron Bolo, Eric Baden, um, the Canadian, the Can Am Connection. I
Oh
think
yeah. Yeah.
those two younger guys, Matt Static and Dylan Devine,
Yes.
were great to work with. I always enjoyed working with my students when
Mhm.
I was teaching. Honestly, I've been blessed and really. Jason Sullivan was one of my favorite opponents. Working with guys like him and Drexel coming up. Like I said, I Quiz, another great guy to be in the ring with. Um, Thunder, God rest his soul, was somebody that I really enjoyed being in there with. Wade Hess, me and him always had amazing matches. There's too many to count. Honestly, we were so blessed with the level of talent in the Northwest that it was hard not to have a banger of a match with a lot of those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it just like with Quiz, I loved Quiz when he was in the ring, and it just the magic of like at the time when like with DOA was running hot and all that kind of stuff. Just like was just like I can't imagine like how fun it must have been like going on the road with these guys. Just like just thinking about the fun memories. Like you've been in the ring with so many people, and just thinking like, damn, those were fun times. Those were
Yeah,
fun times.
like I said, on the independent circuit, I was lucky enough to work with guys like Michael Modest,
Hmm.
which is actually somebody that I asked permission to use that move that I ended up turning into the Moose Drop.
Hmm.
I was actually able to physically ask permission from Mike to use that in a match, and got his blessing. So there was times like that, having Percy Pringle, be my manager. I have so many different memories like that. I was putting on. I remember getting dressed in the mirror in Eugene and having Animal from Legion of Doom put it on his face paint next to me, and I didn't realize who that was standing next to me until I looked up from the mirror from washing my face. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm standing next to you know." Um, then I got to do a tryout for TNA at the Funkin' Conservatory, and I was able to win a 6-man tag belt championship then with them when I was down there for a week. And
Oh,
I got to meet Scott D'Amore and Dory Funk, Samoa Joe, and a lot of the TNA guys when TNA was really hot, like in 2001 or no, I would say 2003.
yeah.
I think was when I went down in 2003, 2004. I was working for WC at the time, but to make that trip, I mean, I turned into a fan. I turned into a mark like on accident because I was able to come in through the back and through the locker room, and I was walking past guys like Kevin Nash and X Pac. I was walking through the parking lot to my car with Sting on my right hand side, and realizing that I'm as tall and as big as some of these guys. I got to meet the Dudley boys and shake their hand and talk to them for a minute. Um, one of my buddies that I had worked with in ECCW up in Canada, Christopher Daniels, he recognized me from the Northwest. It was like, "Hey, Moose, what are you doing down here in Florida?" And was able to have a conversation. So, like I said, I've met a lot of amazing people on this journey, and have a lot of great memories to go along with it.
That's awesome, brother. Like that's really cool. Just hearing stories like these, it's always fun to listen to. And also it just brings back good memories from back then.
Yeah,
Um
it's great to see guys like Dr. Luther, guys that I worked with, and see them on
yeah.
TV. When I see them on TNA or on AEW or whatever, to see those guys actually get it to that point of where somewhere you wanted to get to, it's almost you're there like with them in spirit.
Yeah. I was so happy when I saw Luther in AEW. I was just like, that's my guy. That's my
Yeah.
guy right there. I just like I felt that same way. But right now, just like talking to like stories like this and all, what you got any advice for anybody who's thinking about getting in the business or who are in the business? Like, is there any type of advice you want to give to some of the rookie wrestlers?
I would say find that balance in your life. It either needs to be all wrestling or all family, or you find a place where you can find that happy medium. But don't lose yourself in your gimmick. would probably be one of my biggest pointers. Um, Always be humble, always be learning. Don't If you ever think you know everything, it's time to get out of the business. Um, and I would say take care of your body, because that's your meal ticket for what we do. So there, there was a lot of risks that I took that I probably could have avoided, and I might have had a little more longevity out of my career. Um, and there was times that I probably could have worked a little harder, and I was slacking off on my physique, which didn't help things either, because it makes you a little more prone to injury. Um, there's a show like The Dark Side of the Ring for a reason. I
Mhm.
would say surround yourself with people that they also want you to achieve good things. You know what I mean? So you're only as good as the company you keep, and so be around people that push you to get better.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one,
And
100%.
don't start wrestling in your backyard. Go to the Pro Wrestling School in Portland.
Yeah, don't do what I did. Yeah, don't do what I did.
those those guys are doing it right up there, and like I said, and teaching that younger generation. And I watched some of their classes and that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be hard.
Hmm.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
And so anything worth having is hard work.
Yeah, I completely agree with you 100% on that one. Moose, I want to say thank you for taking the time to be a guest on the show. I'm really happy that we finally got to do this. I know we've been planning on it for quite a while, but I'm really happy, and thank you for taking the time for being a guest on the show.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, and when I have my tag match in November, I'll send you a copy of it, and you can tell me what you think.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to watch it, brother. And where is there anywhere we could find you on social media, or where can we find, like, like your tattoo shop or anything? Is there anything we could look up?
Just Benjamin Moose Morrow on Facebook. That's the only thing I have right now. And I'm not on TikTok or Instagram or any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
I just have my Facebook page. So anybody wants to hit a follow like that. Also, SSW is a wrestling, Southern Star Wrestling is down here in Texas, and that's a federation that I'm helping support. And they're doing it right. They're making a very family friendly event, and those guys are doing a good job. And they're the ones that help me put on my benefit show every year. So follow SSW on Facebook, and they'll have a bunch of other links to their other things. But they're a small independent, up and coming independent down here that's really doing good work.
Go support independent wrestling. Go show some support your local independent promotion. That's what I
Absolutely.
always say. And again, thank you, brother, for taking the time for being on the guest. Hopefully, maybe down the road we could do a part two, or even watch your match on the channel. Probably, like, I would love to do that. I can't wait to see a copy. I can't wait to see you wrestle. Hopefully, one day I'm able to go down to Texas and just hang out and just watch some wrestling with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully, one of these days.
Come down and get another tattoo from me, boss.
Oh, I definitely will do that for sure. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for taking the time for watching us. I appreciate y'all. That is the main event, Moose Monroe. My name is Joshua James. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Oregon Wrestling Observer. I love you all. See y'all next time. Goodbye.
Broken bones from parts unknown. Simplify wonders of why. Broken promises revealed.